Somebody pray for me.
We have a very interesting story.
LaRue Bratcher acted to protect his business from an intruder.
Army veteran LaRue Bratcher faces first-degree murder charges for the death of a man who allegedly attempted to break into his medical marijuana business.
The burglar tried to break in twice, and he shot and killed the burglar. He was defending himself, and he is now facing first-degree murder charges.
It happened just after 1 o'clock this morning. Police called to this business after a would-be burglar was shot and killed. But now it's the business owner that's behind bars after what was found inside.
I'm an Army vet. My wife is an Army vet. I met her when we were both stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington.
Born and raised in New York, I met LaRue when I first joined the Army. That was my first duty station at Fort Lewis. He pretty much I was on my way to report to the commander, and he was outside mopping the floor. And it was a coincidence that we was like in the same barracks, right across from each other. He would be the one taking me to our PT and to work. And look at us here, what, 16 years later.
We got 5 kids. I wasn't always raised with my parents, so I just feel like, you know, I was always trying to do, you know, and be the parent that, you know, I didn't always have, even though, you know, my parents tried their best.
They've tried to have this sort of like microscopic focus on LaRue and what he did that night or that day or the choices he made in his life that led him to this moment.
So the morning of May 27th, the man came through this parking lot. He backed up his car right there. He walked through the grass and he went right there. He looked through the fence. He walked like over here for a few seconds, and then he went back and got in his car, and he went to the back of the other side of the warehouse.
You know, this burglar had come previously and kind of just taken some stupid stuff and kind of messed around one of our storage units, you know, and then that was like earlier in the morning in broad daylight, matter of fact.
He pulled it right there. All he had to do was yank this pallet, push it to the side. That's when he came in. And he went and he walked straight to the container. He went in, walked in, came out with some stuff. I don't know what it was. He did like 2 trips and then he took off. He left. That was the morning of May 27.
This case is so just obviously, in my mind, I mean, really just such a clear case of self-defense, you know, and any attempt to make it into anything else is just, you know, in my opinion, misleading, you know. And now here we are in this other situation. It's, you know, after midnight, you know, 1 in the morning, and he's not trying to take stuff out of our storage unit, but he's trying to pry a door open. So
when the man comes to the door, all he did was he did a yank. He didn't do anything else, but the whole time the man had something in his hand. He walks back. We had the big green trash cans back here. He walks back towards the trash can, then comes back to the door. Now this time, he's props down and he starts trying to open the door.
Trying to pry it?
Yeah. I don't know what made, LaRue just took a glance, and that's when he saw the man already coming, already in here. Yeah.
Unbeknownst to LaRue Bratcher, the burglar was down on his knees, and unfortunately, you know, one of those shots hit him in the head.
He opened the door with his hands down and looked straight to where the fence was at.
Because he knows where he came from.
Yes. But he thinking that the man had took off running. No, when he turned, that's when he saw the man just on the ground.
There's a video of all this, and it shows clearly that LaRue Bratcher didn't know that, you know, that these shots were going to be fatal, and he certainly didn't intend for that to happen.
Who was it that said he was at eye level?
It was Detective Sellers.
And how tall is LaRue?
LaRue's 6'3".
So LaRue is 6'3", and the detective said this was eye level. You know what I'm saying? This obviously isn't.
It's not eye level.
No. I'm not even 6'3".
It's not even eye level to me.
Right.
And I'm 5'1".
And so LaRue has maintained that he was shooting at the ground or shooting low, so that, you know, thinking that the man behind the door was standing up because he couldn't see him. He couldn't see who was on the other side.
Our position isn't that we're happy this burglar died. That's not how any of us feel, you know. But just to say that that conduct was criminal, you know, that there's no way to become a murderer, in my opinion, when a burglar goes to your house.
2 nights straight in May 2020, Daniel Hardwick showed up at the property and tried to gain entry. The second time proved to be fatal.
You know, that night the police didn't charge Rudy. You know, they thought, hey, you know, they more or less congratulated him, if you want to know the truth. And you know, thanks for your protecting and serving our country, and no arrests were made.
When they came and arrested me, it was actually a day after my mom had passed away. It came to me as a total surprise. You know, me and my sister were just heading out the door to go, you know, make a funeral arrangements for my mom.
I cannot forget how they had guns on all of our faces. You know, he was in handcuffs. He was out there with them while they had other cops inside my garage, screaming at me and yelling and saying, we're here for the murder.
You know, they handcuffed me and put me in the back of the car. I actually had some money in my pocket that I was using for my mom's funeral. And I was asking the cop, well, can you just give this to my sister so she can continue to make the arrangement? He told me no, she can come get it off your books. You know, she could just come downtown and get it. You know, and then once I got in the car and we drove off, I was sitting in the back seat, and, you know, he finally let me know, okay, well, you had an arrest warrant for second-degree murder.
That basically says if you're committing any non-enumerated felony, and in the course of that felony someone dies, you could be charged with murder in the second-degree felony murder.
I'm sorry we had to do that, but we had to consider you armed and dangerous, and I kind of understood that. And I just remember looking at him type on his computer. I seen where he said bond amount, and it said denied. And that just threw me in a whirlwind. Like, I just really didn't know what to think. Like,
I remember saying at one time, like, you know, we're gonna see this as a deployment. This is just a one-year deployment that we've been there, we've done that. You know, LaRue has deployed, I have deployed on separate occasions.
I went to the Oklahoma County Jail, which is, you know, I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan, and the conditions inside, they were horrible. They were, you know, I was attacked by bed bugs.
I think this case is as much about the DA's office irrational hatred for weed.
People of Oklahoma voted for that statewide. So I think a DA is out of his league, you know, trying to clamp down on that because you hate marijuana. Well, you know, you're not representing the people, you know what I'm saying, of this state. You're not respecting that.
And charging Rudy for murder is not going to fix it. Like, that's not the answer to
that's right.
The fight. The war on marijuana isn't with trying to convict Rudy.
You know, I have clients who, you know, had compliance issues on their marijuana business, you know, white doctors and things like that. And, you know, had they shot an intruder coming through the door, you know, even though they were having problems with the city and compliance issues, I find it pretty difficult to believe that we would have got charged with murder in the first degree, or murder in any degree.
The castle doctrine. I want to understand standing ground law. I mean, is it applicable in this case? Because,
you know, I think it's tough to say it's applicable in that case. It's potentially applicable, you know.
Is it?
Well, I mean, the stand your ground doctrine really protects people. You know, I mean, it potentially could protect you in any place you have a lawful right to be if you were attacked. I mean, even like on the street. I've never really seen it used that way. The truth is, in my opinion, you know, courts have more or less made the stand your ground doctrine, you know, it's more of just a talking point.
I was allowed to go to the funeral, you know, I had to pay to go to the funeral, and you know, I had to go to my mom's funeral in oranges and shackles with guards around me, and that was, you know, I couldn't even, you know, hug my family, right, because, you know, my arms and hand were in handcuffs. I couldn't even console them. I couldn't, like, to be honest, to this day, I don't think I really even grieved fully from that situation. You know, it's just been, you know, it was just like I was took from one, you know, terrible thing that happened to our family, then I was put in an even worse place.
Oklahoma, being a stand-your-ground state, would have recognized the defense of Bratcher shooting Hardwick. However, because Bratcher was committing a felony, the protection of stand your ground does not apply.
I've never been through court system, so I never really understood how a lot of the things worked. I was learning a lot of things. I just, I had prayed about it. I just kept telling myself, that I'm gonna get a bond. I'm gonna get a bond. I wrote it down on paper. I'm gonna get a bond. Just give me some fighting chance at getting out of that, that hellhole that I was in.
When you walk to the elevator, they have like this little box where he has to step in, and you can't touch him or anything.
Man, to see them, and I told him this later on, when he walked out and he was in front of the elevator and they were just crying, his wife was crying, baby was crying, the kids were crying.
I just wanted to jump on him, to hug him, because I can imagine what he was feeling.
And he was just like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, I'm gonna be home. I was just like, I'm sitting there thinking, man, like trying to hold it together myself, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do.
And, and I told him, I said, man, like, you're a different kind of person, bro.
Honestly, being in there that long at the time, I didn't actually know what was gonna happen. I just, it was like a roller coaster. It was up and down. So I didn't really know what was going to happen, but I was just trying to stay positive and keep faith and keep Vicky uplifted, and, even though I was going through those, horrible times, I just wanted them to, to always see me as like they always saw me. I didn't want them to see me down, and which would, in the end make them more sad or make it more difficult on them. The way I felt like I was looked at in the court system or in the actual courthouse by some of the people in there is like, like they had seen me 100 times, and it kind of, I couldn't figure it out. It kind of left me clueless.
I remember LaRue's uncle, Uncle Mitch, he was inside just waiting for him to come out. I just remember it was just so many different emotions when we saw him, and I just felt like it wasn't real, to not have him for a year, and then here he is in my arms. I'm just so thankful to God for all of this, and thankful to everybody that made this happen.
Most days it's, I want to call it boring, but it's just, I'm here most of the day with my youngest daughter, who's only 2, so Vicky might be out running errands, so she's here with me, making her breakfast, changing her diapers, just, actually being around her. Being in the military, that took a lot of my time with my older kids away from me, because I was always gone or, in the field, deployed. So I didn't, I grew up with them, but I wasn't around every day like I was, I've been able to be here for the last 7 months with my daughter.
I'm so thankful for so many, friends like Jazz, JB, Cordell's. I was thankful for all of them to, continue to reach out, to continue to keep us lifted, and just saying that everything's gonna be fine, and that a new family members that I gained while LaRue was in there.
Ride for LaRue.
So the day of the cruise, I was actually able to look through the windows and see the cars driving around, and to see that many people there, it just it made me feel good to actually have the support. When you're in jail, you're surrounded by people that don't have any support at all. They don't get any letters, they might not even talk on the phone. So that really meant the world to me. It was uplifting. It made me feel real good. With trial coming up, again, it's kind of like mixed emotions. I have a lot of fear and anxiety because, I don't, 100% know what's going to happen. I try to stay, as positive as I can.
He's not proud or happy you know, this burglar lost his life. You know, I mean, he's just like, it could happen to any of us. You know, I mean, I think it's every person's worst fear. You know, that at your home, you're in your place of business, you know, your car, whatever it might be. You know, and a burglar comes there, you know, and the threat of harm that they pose to you. You know, we all just want to make sure we make it home to our family. Dealing with PTSD and anxiety, sometimes it's a lot. You know, sometimes I just you know, I kind of shut down. I love being here, and, you know, I'm happy to be here, but it's like my life is, you know, has been on hold for almost going on 2 years now. And it's just like, when is it ever going to end? Honestly, I don't feel like I've been treated fairly during this, you know, this situation. You know, I feel like as a veteran, someone, you know, who's, you know, I risked my life for, you know, 15 months in Iraq War. I was a truck driver during the heat of the war. You know, I was, you know, encountering IEDs and mortars and just stuff that sometimes you just don't even really want to talk about. To come back here and, you know, like when I first got out to try to get a job, to not even to, you know, be able to get a job at O'Reilly's, you know, it throws you for a loop.